Prime Time Local News, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Well, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Prime Time Local News. Connor Chan, Elise Darvish. Almost Fridays. We're one more day away here. So we asked on our question of the day today, what are some pet peeves that your coworkers do? We might get in trouble because we work very closely with our team.
Did you pick the question of the day today?
Maybe.
Are you like feeling like you need to
I'm
like
taking
let some
a chance.
things out?
I'm living dangerously. Like I don't need to have people in the office
Mad at
appreciate
you?
me. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess
go.
what people could say about me is that I just eat a lot. I
Yeah,
have a lot
but
of
I
food
mean,
with me.
that's okay.
I don't know if I consider that a pet peeve, but
Yeah, well, it could be. Lots of pet peeves come out when you're in a communal workspace.
like
so.
we are. We're
Yeah,
very,
exactly.
Very close bunch, physically
Exactly.
and
Yeah, we're
mentally
very
as well.
close. Yeah.
Well, we'll have all this and more coming up later on in the show, but right now let's send over to Brett Holden on location.
Well, today we will be speaking to Michelle Myers from east of Merlot as wedding season is approaching and the warm weather is getting, well, warmer, and engagement season has passed, and we will be speaking to Michelle about some trends when it comes to weddings and what we can see when it does come to planning those weddings as well, and some misconceptions when it comes to planning too. So that'll be coming up in this hour, but for now, let's head back into the studio where Elise has a look at your local news.
Great, thank you, Brett. Well, the City of Lloydminster is changing its organic collection from bi-weekly back to weekly pickup starting next week. During the winter time, the city reverts to bi-weekly pickup due to the limited amount of organic material during those months. The city sees an 80% increase in organic waste during the spring, increasing the need for the weekly pickup.
Rather than run a truck around every week and find that there's no green bins or very few out on a regular basis, we cut it to 2 weeks in the winter, every second week for pickup. And now that spring is upon us, people's yards, the leaves will be starting to pop out, and I'm sure as quick as people can get their fertilizer on, they'll be cutting grass. We'll get back to the regular pickup schedule.
Mayor Albers says having a bi-weekly pickup in the winter is a benefit for both the taxpayers and the city. The organic curbside collection sees over 10 tons of garbage from the landfill annually. Having the seasonal schedule increases the efficiency and addresses the large gap of collection in between the seasons.
Yeah, I don't think it changes from the perspective of the processor. They take whatever they receive, but they know that it ramps up. And I think that number is pretty much a statistical number for anywhere that has a green bin type arrangement for the items that are organic. It just does drop off dramatically in the winter, picks up again in the spring, and it'll drop off again in the fall once the first snow hits.
The city will go back to the bi-weekly in November, and for more information, you can head to lloydminster.ca/curbside. And with spring officially here, that means allergy season is right behind it. Springtime allergies come from pollen in the air and snow mold, which grows underneath the snow during the winter.
Snow mold is a fungus that grows underneath a blanket of snow, so it often grows on dead leaves and organic material that's under that snow. And then as the snow melts, that damp environment is just ideal for that mold or fungal growth. And then those spores, as the snow is melting, get into the air and people will end up with an allergic reaction to those spores.
There are a few common symptoms to look out for during the spring.
So allergy symptoms can include things like itchy, watery eyes, runny nose or congestion. Some people will get headache, irritability, and just tiredness or fatigue.
For treatment, you can talk to your pharmacist. And earlier today at Lakeland College, they had a business pop-up for students, and our Jasmine King visited the campus to find out more.
The pop-up held by students was selling a mix of items, including professional clothes. It was a way for students to learn about business, but it taught them some other skills as well.
We had a number of students who actually used this project to live the learning and to do some of the project management in terms of marketing, human resource management, trying to recruit other students to volunteer, put together just basically something that would provide professional wear to students at a really reasonable price.
The event also featured a guest speaker who spoke to students on their image and why it matters.
Your image is a business asset. It's the thing that starts to create a reputation for yourself. It starts to give people an idea of who you are before they even know you. And that can be something that helps you build a career or build a business even without even realizing it.
As business has many different layers involved with it, students have to learn about more than just selling products.
I think students really need to understand that their image counts. It's important, and that they have to be intentional about it. It's not just about being fashionable or being stylish, it's about being strategic, and that when they get it right, they have the opportunity to build trust in the people who are looking at them for their careers, for their businesses, and to move up.
The event was both learning for business students and fundraising for one student association. Jasmine King, Primetime Local News.
And it's not unusual for gas prices to go up in the spring, but this year there may be some shock in some parts of the country. Drivers in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and New Brunswick can soon expect to pay at least 10 cents more per liter. According to GasBuddy.com, people in those provinces will be handing over 5 cents more per liter as of April 1st. That's when the federal government's carbon tax kicks in. The cost will then go up again several days after that because of seasonal price changes. And now we're going to go to Brett Holden, who is on location.
Well, today we are joined by Michelle Myers as it is getting to wedding season. I guess engagement season has kind of passed and now everyone's kind of planning. So what's kind of the expectations for this year? I know it's a weird kind of forecast, but what can you look forward to this year if you are planning a wedding?
Well, it's already pretty warm, so that's kind of a hint at what a beautiful summer we'll be having. So a lot of brides can look forward to having lovely wedding weather, I guess. But otherwise, I think that the trend going forward is that people are doing what they want to do with weddings. They're not having a traditional wedding that they have to. They're getting married in the evenings or not having a cake anymore. And it's kind of nice to see the differences, I guess, in each wedding compared to what it was 10 years ago when everybody had the same thing.
Now, we were kind of talking beforehand just how much of an influence that social media can have, especially something like Pinterest. So let's kind of expand more on that.
Well, I just think that it's easier to share ideas or find something that you like now. You're not going to a wedding and being like, oh, I have to do that idea. You can literally look up anything that you want online. So I think it's great because a lot of people are doing DIY and they're able to build that stuff themselves, or they're able to share pictures with decorators and things that really give them what they want for their wedding day.
Right. Well, we'll have a little bit more with Michelle Myers as she is with East of Merlot and event planning and getting ready for that perfect wedding. But for now, let's head back into the studio.
All right, thanks very much, Brett. Take a look at your temperature right now. Currently 6 degrees right now for us here in Lloydminster. A bit of sunshine and a few clouds as we've had throughout the day. Wind chills are about 23 kilometers an hour, so it does feel a little bit cooler out there. Some records this time of year. Warmest day was back in 2010 at 17 degrees, while our coldest day was back in 1987 at minus 21. Let's take a look at the satellite radar map right now. A bit of cloud coverage over that Edmonton, Vegreville, Marwayne still continues from the past couple of days and more up by my right side of my head here on that Isle of Cross area as well. We are going to be having some cloudier days heading on into later parts of the week as it's going to be mostly cloudy and there still will be sunshine, but not super clear yet. No watches or warnings for the area currently right now. Other temperatures, 8 degrees for Edmonton as well as in Edson, 7 in Red Deer, Rocky Mountain House, Athabasca, 9 degrees for Whitecourt, 10 out in Jasper, 6 is across in Saskatchewan, in Meadow Lake, Prince Albert, Saskatoon, North Battleford, and Melfort sitting at 2 degrees. So take a look a little more in depth to our regional temperatures right now. -3 overnight in North Battleford with some cloudy skies rather, and warming up to the daytime high tomorrow of 3 degrees with sun and cloud mixed there. -4 overnight in Cold Lake with cloudy skies, warming to 6 degrees tomorrow is the daytime high with a sun and cloud mix for us here in Lloydminster. -4 overnight as well, warming up to 3 degrees tomorrow with mostly cloudy skies and a bit of sun there. 6 degrees on Saturday as we take a look at the next 3 days with a low of -5 there, low of -6 heading into Sunday morning with the high of 3 degrees on Sunday with mostly cloudy skies and a bit of sun. That's your first look at weather. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
There's lots going on here in the border city this week, and Heather Klages has the details in what's happening.
starting tomorrow at noon, the Lloyd X is going to be the place to be because that's when their annual showcase opens up. Home, garden, sports, leisure, trade show. You've got so much to see at the Lloyd X right throughout the weekend. And the neat part about it too is that they've got a couple different stages. So they've got guests coming to the outdoorsman stage where you can learn about hunting, fishing, trapping. You'll hear some great stories. They also have the DIY stage. So if you're looking at making changes maybe in your kitchen or you want to know the latest trends when it comes to interior design and home decor, this is the place to find out about it. So head for the Lloyd X this weekend. You can check out Showcase. You can pick up your tickets now for a fun night out tomorrow night at the Vic Juba Community Theatre. Johnny Summer and the Little Big Band will be in town, so it's a little bit of jazz, a little bit of funk, a whole lot of soul, and they'll even throw in a little vintage Frank Sinatra as well. Should be a fun night out, great way to start off the weekend. To get your tickets, you can stop by the Vic Juba Community Theatre box office or go online, vicjubatheatre.ca. Casey Musgraves was a huge winner at the Grammy Awards this year with her latest album, Golden Hour, and we want you to win a copy. It's really easy. All you have to do is email your name and daytime phone number to tvcontest@newcap.ca. We want to say thanks to John at Universal Music Canada for setting us up with the Grammy Award-winning music. And on Sunday, the Legacy Center has a fun day planned. They're going to start the day with a pancake breakfast. They'll start serving up at 9:30. Everybody's welcome to that. And then in the afternoon, they've got a jamboree and dance. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, I hope you have a great one. I'm Heather Klegus, and that's what's happening.
And now we'll take a look at your stock market prices for today.
We restore more than just property. We restore hope. When disaster strikes, call the one that can make it right. First General Services, your property restoration experts.
Well, we're back here with East of Merlot's Michelle Myers as we are talking about getting ready for that dream wedding. And now we're going to talk about food now. I guess a lot of people's favorite part of the weddings. I guess there's other parts of the wedding that a lot of people are looking forward to, but the food is one of the most important things. So what are some things that if you are getting ready for a wedding to look for when it comes to your food?
Well, I've been in catering for 17 years, so longer than I've been planning weddings. And, catering's kind of consistent in the fact that you can order whatever you want. And I suggest doing that. A lot of people take those basic packages from a catering place, but customize it for yourself, make it your own. If you have a family salad you really want to share, make sure that you have it there. Give it to the catering people. I'm sure that they will offer that. The other thing is that food's really changing at weddings now, so people are offering appetizers instead of an entire meal, or they're even serving appetizers during the ceremony instead of something else like that. The other big thing that we kind of talked about a little bit is actually brunch is becoming a huge thing for weddings. So people are either getting married while having brunch, or they make it a big deal to have a huge brunch the next day. So it's instead of a normal gift opening where you kind of eat the leftovers and those things that was very traditional, people are going the route of another big event and making it in kind of an entire weekend worth of stuff. So food can get very expensive that way, but could be also very worth it. So.
Absolutely. Now, something we were talking about a little earlier was just the influence that social media could have and how it could affect the food as well. And you mentioned just before we came on how it could, a lot of people aren't necessarily going with cakes anymore.
Yeah, no, kind of cakes are going in and out. I guess that some people really like them because they are beautiful, but often, they're not doing them anymore. They're doing cupcakes or they're doing an alternative dessert altogether, something that's more meaningful to them. So that's a big thing that's changing.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
We'll have a little bit more coming up from here with Michelle Myers, but for now, let's head back in the studio.
All right, so our question of the day is, what are some pet peeves that your coworkers do? We shouldn't say what our coworkers do.
I mean, we could, but
we're going to get in trouble.
You have to work with them tomorrow.
Yeah,
so.
they're going to watch. They're going to be like, yeah, it's going to be awkward tomorrow. But some comments, some people, right, we can read what other people are saying. One gentleman wrote, not laughing at my jokes.
Aww.
That's fair.
Well, maybe he's not that funny. You
Well,
never know.
people laugh at me, if that helps. People
Yeah.
laugh at me.
Well, there you go. So
There's
same thing.
another one is everything.
Everything.
Everything makes them
This
a little
person might be
peeved.
slightly a little agitated with their coworkers then, clearly.
Coughing on the handset, as we talked about before, how it's like just they're coughing or sneezing without covering.
yeah.
Maybe also not covering.
That's just like
your
germs
things.
and nobody wants to get sick and being around work and stuff. I get that. That can be annoying
and
for
then,
sure.
And then probably just like, maybe chewing too loudly on
Sure.
food as well.
Yeah, anytime that you have a workspace where it's like everyone works kind of in the same area, you can't really shut your own door and stuff. Things get to each other. I get it.
That's our newsroom. That's our newsroom.
That is
every
our
day.
newsroom. Yes, it
Every
is.
day.
Yeah.
Well, it's that time of the show where we get to showcase pets because we all love good animals as well. So
Best part.
this is Axel, submitted there by
Very-
Nancy. He kind of went in the garbage
Aw,
with that little
got a
candle
little bit
there.
into trouble there.
Still cute
Yeah.
though. This is Rosie, who's just in the
Rosie.
dishwasher, just looking at the plates, making sure they're all good.
Just helping clean up.
Exactly. This is Mr. Peanut Butter.
So cute.
Looks like Milo to an
Yeah,
extent.
kind of does look like Milo.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
adorable. This is Luna and Chloe chilling and taking a little nap,
Yep.
cuddling together in
Cute.
their bed. And last not least, this is Mabel, the corgi.
Mabel.
Very,
there you
very
go.
adorable. Well, if your pet was shown on today, you're automatically entered to win a Lloydminster Pet Pad gift card, which we're giving away tomorrow at the end of Primetime Local News.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
I'm joined with a very special guest today, Kim Cabral for Nara Studios, the owner of the company. And thank you so much for joining us today, Kim. We just wanted to kind of talk about what you do and how you got started. So do you want to just kind of you have a cool story of even how you named your company. So do you want to just kind of tell me where that came from?
Yeah, so I own Nara Studios. Nara Studios is a video content creator. And we got the word Nara as a short for narrative because we like our videos to tell a story, and that's how we formed it. And it's also actually I'm from the Philippines, and it's actually Nara is actually a tree from the Philippines. So it's like pay homage to my home country.
Yeah,
and,
very cool. Great name, super creative. And I just wanted to kind of touch on why you even got into it in the first place. Where did you find the passion, and why did you want to turn this into your own business?
The first time I picked up a camera was back in 2010, and I've always known that I wanted to work with people, and being in the filmmaking industry, being a filmmaker allowed me to do that.
Yeah.
And when I got here in Lloydminster, I met an amazing people, amazing companies, and that led to what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. And it is wedding season and things like that, and I know that's a big part of your company. You do videography for weddings, but you also do other things as well under your umbrella company. So do you want to kind of touch on some other things that you do in your company?
Yeah, so aside from doing wedding films, we do weddings all year round almost.
Yeah.
But we've now transitioned to doing corporate films and commercial films and documentaries and so stuff like that in the area.
Yeah. So if people wanted to kind of hire you on, is there a way that they can contact you? Is there any kind of specific businesses that you work with already, or how do you kind of get in contact with?
Usually just email is still my best
Email's your
contact.
best route,
My best route, and it's kim@narastudios.ca.
Yeah.
And we do anything.
Yeah, see, that's what's very cool because it's not just it's not just weddings, it's a freelance company. So if someone came to you with an idea, you're just very open. You can just kind of build on just what they're looking for, basically.
And you'll never know what maybe they want this, but maybe when we set a meeting, there's something that we can do.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
Yeah, that's super cool. And so with that, I just wanted to expand on that a little bit more. With the company that you've started, you've actually you work with your wife as well in different ways. So do you kind of want to explain how that kind of morphed together and you're now working kind of as a co-group?
Well, my wife has her own business as well. It's called the Beauty Dep.
Yeah.
So she does makeup, she does microblading. So her attention to detail is
bang on.
Bang on.
Yeah.
So in my business, she kind of helps me in the background, and hey, when I finish a video, she kind of be my second eye, and hey, you missed this one, you missed that one. So even those little things, we work together.
Very cool. So yeah, you can kind of, it's turned into something that was just a passion of yours, and you've turned it into a full-blown business. Very cool. So just looking forward into looking ahead, is there anything specific that you kind of want to jump into that you haven't yet? Maybe something that you want to work on?
We are doing more documentaries right now, and I love Lloydminster. I love the community here, and a lot of our documentaries that we're doing is about the community and how thriving the community and how amazing people are in this community. So we are hoping to get some projects done and to showcase Border City.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming in today, Kim. We appreciate it. If you want more information, definitely look them up. Nara Studios is where Kim is working. So thank you so much for coming in, and we appreciate it. Thanks.
Furniture supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
I am joined with Michelle Hamilton, registered psychologist for Beyond Balanced here in Lloydminster. Always a pleasure to have you on, Michelle. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you again.
We have an interesting topic we want to kind of jump into today, and that is one of compassion fatigue. So before we even get into it, can you kind of explain the definition of what that even really means to start off with?
Okay, well, compassion fatigue is a concept that's been developed to help explain, you know, the range and the variety of negative effects that can result from a person's continual caregiving, or, you know, it might be a professional or a personal role of being continually focused on other people's pain, stress, and trauma, and the effect that can have on the caregiver or the helping professional.
Yeah, and so with that kind of fatigue, does it look different when a person has that? Does it kind of come across as a different feeling than just feeling tired? Like, what kind of comes along? What are, I guess you would say, I don't know if you'd call them symptoms, but what would you kind of notice if you had those that feeling?
Yeah, and I do think we could think of them as symptoms, you know. For some people, especially thinking in terms of health professionals, for example, counselors, psychologists, social workers, medical people, nurses, doctors, they may experience a variety of symptoms that might in fact be kind of similar to those we'd see in post-traumatic stress. It's possibly going to show up in ways in terms of anxiety symptoms, having difficulty not thinking about patients, clients, problems outside of work time, perhaps sleep disturbances. You know, sometimes we're experiencing hyperarousal in that sense of the body being overactivated and easily triggered into a state of stress. Okay, obsession or difficulty not being over-focused on other people and their needs.
Yeah, so with that kind of that stress and something that, what is something that you can kind of maybe, I guess, prevent it to start, and then if you do have, we'll start with prevention. How do you kind of make sure that you do take care of yourself in those steps to make sure that it doesn't get to that point where you experience that fatigue?
Well, I think if you're in a position of being a caregiver in all kinds of ways, I think it's especially important to make sure you've got really good boundaries set up, so that, for one thing, you know your limits, and you know, whether it be time boundaries or like almost like the idea of an emotional boundary, that you're really conscious about not taking on more than you can give.
Right.
And so boundaries is one really important thing, and self-care, you know, in all sorts of ways, in terms of making sure that we recognize the risk involved in doing this kind of work, that we're really careful about protecting our, you know, our own mental, emotional, spiritual, psychological health, you know, by staying connected with other people, by giving ourselves enough time for, you know, physical exercise, maybe mindfulness, meditation practices and things like that, and maybe even seeking out the help of a therapist.
Right, yeah, for sure. And so I guess that kind of follows into when you do get that compassion fatigue. So I guess the steps, if you have recognized that that's something that you now have, are the steps to kind of rebuild back into being in a healthy state would be just making sure that you do those things and acknowledge that that's what you need.
It might be a matter of really honing in on your self-care practices, as I've just said, and improving it or increasing your boundaries, limiting your time. Some people do need to change the focus of their work. A greater variety of exposure to other kinds of people and situations can be really helpful. Sometimes a change is required. And I do think sometimes people really do find themselves affected to the point that they might need therapy and need to dig a little bit deeper into treating the effect of the trauma that can come through this vicarious way. Vicarious trauma is a term that's used in a very close way to compassion fatigue.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much for digging into that with me today.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. If you want more knowledge on compassion fatigue, feel free to contact Michelle at Beyond Balance. And thank you so much for coming in today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, today we spoke with Michelle Myers, who's from East of Merlot Event Planning. She has planned over 3,000 events, and she said over 200 weddings. And as she mentioned, social media does kind of have that big trend of planning weddings. Things like Pinterest, or apps like Pinterest, I should say, have a big influence on how some people may plan their weddings. And as she mentioned, things like traditional things like the cake has kind of gone by the wayside, and seeing cupcakes and different desserts as opposed to that cake for weddings like that as well. So, and she also mentioned just planning for your perfect wedding. So that was today with Michelle Myers at East of Merlot. But tomorrow I will be over at the Lloyd X, as they will be going through their trade show there, and we will be going through some of the vendors as well and talking to them. So that'll be tomorrow. That'll do it for me tonight. Let's head back into the studio where Connor and Elise will wrap up the rest of tonight's show.
All right, thanks very much, Brett. Take a look at your 7-day forecast one last time. 3 degrees tomorrow is our daytime high, mostly cloudy skies, and then 6 degrees on Saturday, a little bit warmer. Again, mostly cloudy skies. We may see a few peaks of sun there. 3 degrees on Sundays. It starts to cool down for the weekend, and then this is not your imagination. This is 72% chance of snow on Monday with a high of 4 degrees, a low there of -3. -5 is the low on Tuesday with a 66% chance of some snow there at 1 degree. -1 on Wednesday with a few bits of sun there, and 0 degrees on Thursday. So we're kind of near the cloudier, more gloomier parts of spring. As now with that snow, it's real. It's happening.
Least it sucks, but at least with the plus temperatures, it won't stick around for too long. Hopefully.
No, it's more that like it'll be like
the
less than a centimeter. That really kind of heavy, wet kind of snow, maybe as we used to see, like the Vancouver people get.
Yeah, yeah. Well, at least it doesn't stick around for too long. So
no,
hopefully,
that's always good.
Yeah,
well,
that's my work pet peeve of you telling me that it's gonna snow. There it is.
Well, all right then. Well, now we know what drives Elise nuts. Well, that's going to do it for us here tonight, folks. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.
Have a good night.